Hello, and welcome to the weekly broadcast of Strategic Speaking for Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman, your host, and today I'm talking about micromanaging. How do you cope with a micromanager? Whether it's your boss, your manager, whether it's a colleague, or whether it's you. I learned this, they weren't calling it micromanagement in those days, but back in my opera directing days, one of the hardest things for me to accept was to let the singers figure something out without my giving them every single piece, every single moment, every single when do you lift your little finger, etc. I'm an oldest child. I like to tell people what to do. I get paid to tell people what to do. Learning to let people figure it out for themselves was always a challenge. And on the other hand, you want to be able to set clear expectations. That was another lesson that it took me a long time to learn, especially when I was running an opera company and I was a boss. I fell into the old habit that girls are trained to do as young women, which is to hint instead of say something clearly. I did that for years until I realized that's what I was doing. I wish someone had told me earlier, because I now know the kind of confusion that I left behind me. So if you're curious about hinting, I did a piece about it a couple of weeks ago. Check my YouTube channel, you'll find it. So the three things, if you are dealing with a micromanager in your professional life, this also works for home, but let's talk about within an organization. If it's your boss, if it's your manager, first of all, don't get angry. Some of it's normal, but try to figure out why they're doing it. Remember, rule number one is to put yourself in the shoes of your listeners. Try to find out why they are micromanaging. Sometimes it means that they're desperate for control and they, if they're narcissists, they want to make sure that they get the credit for everything and they can blame you for everything else. But that's really the minority. Often it's because A, they were doing the job before and they don't know how to let go, or B, they're under great pressure from their managers and they're taking it out on you. The best thing to do is to schedule a time in private, see if you can have lunch together or coffee someplace away from the office, and say that you are not feeling like they trust you. Trust is a big deal. Ask them what's going on, how it feels to you as if you're not being trusted to do it your way. And then ask them, how can I support you? How can I make this better? What is the ultimate result? Because the thing about micromanagers is they focus on process because that's something they can control rather than taking the long view. So you can take the long view and then ask them, how could I make this better? What's the ultimate result? Will my way get us there? Would you trust me to give it a try? Often they might just need to be reminded to take the long view and then offer to give regular updates. Hopefully you are tracking your achievements and you're giving them weekly updates anyway. If not, look at my broadcast about seeding your value through stories that talks about how to do that. And then if they want an update more often than once a week, you can tell them at the end of the day, send them a Slack message or something. Second piece is if you have a coworker who's a micromanager. There again, it's someone who might not know how to let go. It might be someone who is desperate to keep control of something. That's where Rule number one is see what's behind it if you can. Thank them for their help. Stay calm, because losing your temper isn't going to make a difference, but set a boundary. You may have to do it 2 or 3 times. Micromanaging is a habit. It's really easy to get into, so it may take a while. And then you could say, I was hired to do this project. Will you trust me to get it done? Let me do this part. You do your part. Thank you for your advice. You can always say thank you for advice and then just go on and do what you need to do. Thirdly, if you're the micromanager, again, set clear expectations. Don't hint, say something out loud, and then practice delegating. Of course, you want to make sure that you have a great team. So if there's someone on your team who still needs the help, who needs support from you, offer to support them and then let them do it. Sometimes I think of trust as, oh yeah, the T word. Trust is earned. When people trust you, you do better work. When you are trusted, you can also, when you are being trusted, it's better for your employees, better for everybody. It may take some practice, but the world will be better for it anyway. Remember, micromanaging is usually a strategy for coping with what's unusual, but changing it and not being a micromanager, being a great leader instead, is a learned behavior. It can be learned, whether it's you, whether it's your coworker, whether it's your manager. It's worth investing the time and the effort. This has been Strategic Speaking for Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman. I'll see you on the next one.